Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Estate with Ryan. So excited to be with you in the studios, talking a little real estate. What's better on a weekend? There's nothing better. But I'm glad it's the weekend, and I'm glad I'm with you guys. So excited to be here on an amazing July. Hard to believe that July is winding down. Does it not feel like July has just flown by? I know we've had a lot going on, busy, a lot going on in the news. Won't go into all that, but just so much going on. It's going to be a wild finish to the end of 2024. I think you all know that, and got a really good show for you today. So I wanted to talk about how do you know to determine your home's value. And I think, obviously there's a lot of different sites online, but we're going to talk about that today, how to determine your home's value yourself. And what goes into that? A little DIY, right? I mean, there's these online tools and the Zestimates and all these different things. And you can get agents to come out too. But we're going to talk about how do you determine your home's value? What goes into it? What do appraisers look for? If you're thinking about buying or selling, how to calculate it yourself, how the professionals do it, and things that affects the value, things that don't, things to look for in a changing market, what to expect. Are we an increasing market? Are we declining market? How far, let's say your property's in, let's say Loudoun or Lenore City or out to Sweetwater, right? How far out on a rural area do you bring sales? What if there's limited sales? And we'll go over all that and so much more. I think you're really going to want to tune in. We'll get a little technical, but I think it's really informative. I think it's going to be a really good show. Hope you find a lot of value to it. Again, let's go with some congrats. New listings, a lot going on in the market. Before we go into our congrats, let's talk about, let's see, should we do first? Let's do some congrats and then a couple little real estate news that we've got going on. So new listings that are on the market, congrats. Let's see here. 172 West Meeting Street in Dandridge, under contract. Super excited for our builder out there. We've got several more properties being built, townhomes. They're beautiful, perfect for Airbnb. And then we got new construction, 5 or 6 other units right across the street. You got opportunities to pick colors and so many different things like that. So make sure you check those out on our website. 8413 South North Shore Drive. Congrats to our great seller. And then, of course, 3008 Sanderson Road in Knoxville, under contract. The ink wasn't even dry before the show, and it just went under contract. And hopefully working on an offer on Ashley Court, and it will hopefully go pending here as this show ends. And then congrats to our great sellers that closed over in 2734 Woodbine in Knoxville. And then, of course, our great sellers, 334 West Ford Valley Road. Congrats on your move. They're going back to Ireland. Great family there. And new listings this week. You're going to want to check this one out. It's got 24 acres, no restrictions at the moment. Beautiful property out there, Meredith Road, pool, over 6,000 square feet. Make sure you check that property out in Karnes area. And then we've got a nice one out in Halls, 13 acres. It's got chickens, no restrictions. They even got a little donkey out there. I think he's like 30 years old. He's a sweetheart. I had a chance to kind of ride the property with the seller the other day. And so Clark Drive out in Halls, rancher with a huge detached garage. Perfect if you guys work on cars or I think he said it's even zoned commercial that you could do some things there with that garage and things like that. So a lot going on this week. Those are a little bit congrats. Let's get into the housing news as there's a lot of news. It's going to be heating up. Let's talk about the real estate news. Inflation is ramping up. Housing index is up to 50%. And kind of talking about that, I think the other day that I didn't have a chance to print the article out, but the current administration is talking about rent caps and how will that affect the housing market. And this affects landlords with 50 units or more, and how is that going to affect new building? And they were talking a little bit about that. So he's just introducing it. Obviously, that has to go to the appropriate channels and all those things, but is rent caps, is that going to affect the market? And they're already working on capital gains. I saw an article the other day that Canada was up to 66% on capital gains. We're currently at 19%. I don't know if that's true. I need to really double verify that. So don't hold me to it. But is that what they're going to be trying to do here? I sure hope not, because that wouldn't be too great for the market at all. And I think one of the challenges in kind of the debates on the rent cap is maybe coming back to, all the money that they've been printing, that now they got to find a way that, it's an election year, maybe we'll come out and do a little rent cap, and that's going to solve the market. And that's a challenge because we need more housing. We need more affordable housing. And, I don't think that the administration takes in effect that a lot of these new construction projects, let's say you're going to go build a 100, 200 unit building, for housing, those things take years to put in plans. And so sometimes, these decisions or talk about decisions that could potentially come out stops investors in their track. Think about it. If you're going to be building a building and you're projecting on certain numbers for that building, and, the government's talking about putting caps, before you know it, you could be underwater. And so, again, it's just news. That's what they're talking about. Don't know where that will go. Hopefully it goes nowhere, but that was hot on the news. Interest rates, very hot topic there. We saw the interest rates cool down a little bit on anticipation that dare I say, the Feds make an interest rate cut or do something with the market. Who knows? We watch the Feds all year. You've been listening to us. And I think a lot of people have timed the market too, or tried to time the market. I just told a client the other day, I said, I'm over telling you what I think is going to happen because this year anything goes. And I think that's a lot of people, right? But something's going to happen with the rates. The banks are signaling and adjusting. So 30-year fixed Freddie Mac interest rate is 6.77. It's down 0.12. And then the 15 years at 6.05 for a 15-year mortgage. So those rates are down, which is good. And usually what you'll see in a cycle is where the interest rates, even a little bit, we see an increase in sales. So there's a lot of people on the sidelines that are waiting. It makes it tough going into an election year with there's so much tension in the marketplace. As we approach the third and fourth quarter, a lot of people, like I said, may sit on the sidelines and see where we're at. So that's where we're at in the real estate market, interest rates, news that's going on. Let's jump into our show. Great show. We're talking about how do you determine your home's value yourself, DIY. Like, Ryan, I'm not ready to put it on the market, or I just want to know how you come up with the value. Or if I'm going to make improvements, I need to make these improvements and I need to know behind it. What's the why, other than just going online? So we're going to talk about a lot of different things that determine your home's value. So you can get an idea, kind of look online and see how to determine your value like the pros do. First thing is location, location, location. They always said that in real estate. When I got into the real estate business, I said, Ryan, it's location, location, location. You still hear that today, and it is the case. Obviously, there's certain areas that have the best location, the prime real estate, waterfront property, mountain views, perfect subdivision, all these different things that have location. So location is going to be your number one factor to determine your home's value. Obviously, other homes in that area will be comparable. So they do something called comparables. And comparables, if you don't know, are just homes that have sold similar to yours. There's several ways to determine a value. You can cost, what it costs to build. You could do it ways, but most of the appraisers are looking at something called comparables. And if you ever had an agent come out or give you something, and back in the day, I think they still do it. They say a CMA, competitive market analysis. So a CMA is really basically other homes in your area, similar size, range, hopefully condition, if it has garages, things like that, structures. And that's how they're able to determine home's value. Size of a home really comes into it. You got to be careful. You can't compare a 4,000 square foot home, right, to a 2,000 square foot home. They're going to be within 300 or 400 square feet of the sales. And if there's limited sales, the appraisers can do things called adjustments. So you look at the adjustments. I've got a 2,500 square foot rancher, but I've got a sale that's 33. It's sold in the last couple months. It's most similar. It's in the same subdivision. So they have to make adjustments on those. So that you can see that as well. Let's also talk about sizing. This is very, very important. where sometimes we have homes that have a basement, very common in East Tennessee. So basements are below something called below grade. And, sometimes you don't get the same value as if it's above grade, because they say, hey, it's cheaper to build below grade. So keep that in mind. Most time when you're looking at comparables, you're going to be looking at basement homes. Look, we're coming up here, ending the first half of Real Estate with Ryan. Second half, we're going to talk about so much more on how to determine your home's value. Stay with us. We'll see you right after the break.
Your friend promised we wouldn't be homeless.
He promised. He's doing everything to fix it.
You need to call and have him fix it now.
Hey, man.
Found us a house.
No, not yet. Let me call you back. We're working on it.
Ryan Coleman with Hometown Realty.
He says he's doing the best he can do, honey.
Well, he's taken too long. I knew we should have gone with Ryan Coleman.
Choosing the right agent is never easy.
Call your hometown experts. We'll take care of all the details and make sure you don't get stuck in a motel. I'm Ryan Coleman with Hometown Realty. The real estate market's changing every day. You need to know your home's value in today's market. Text your home address to 290-2290 for an instant, no obligation home evaluation. That's 865-290-2290. And remember, when you're ready to sell, we have a guaranteed sale program to get you in your next home stress-free. Trust your hometown experts. We've helped thousands of people just like you. All right, we're back at it. Second half, Real Estate with Ryan. Got a lot going on here, and we got a lot to cover, so I'm not going to spend much time on it, but I'm going to go 60-second vol update, which is so important, and we'll be here. Drum roll, please. All right, 60-second vol update. A lot going on. Hard to believe that Tennessee's first game versus Chattanooga, August 31st, 12:45 at Neyland. We want to send you there. I know we've got about 4 weeks before that happens. Make sure you subscribe to all of our channels. You're going to see some posts. We'll be giving away some tickets, so make sure you like our channels. Hey, we'd love to send you to the game. Have a great time. If you've never been to a Vol game, we would like to invite you and send you on the house. Doesn't cost anything. We don't want anything from you, except, hey, if we can ever help anybody that thinks about buying or selling, we always love to be involved with that process. I know the season's getting ready. Don't have a whole lot of other news, but it's almost football time in East Tennessee. That's an exciting time, fall here. Hometown Realty, proud sponsor of the Vols. Go Big Orange. All right, so much going on. But you guys, y'all have a lot going on this week. I know we did. And I'm ready for the weekend. It's hard to believe that time's upon us. But we're talking about today how to determine your home's value yourself. DIY, right? How do we do it? I know we look online, see the sales. I can go to Zillow or Realtor.com. Ryan, I can even go to your website. You've got it right on your page. You can determine your home's value. You talk about texting. You can text your home value. We got all those features. But I figured it's so important that if you're wanting to do some of these, these improvements or updates, or really knowing what's going on, you really need to know the kind of math and the science and what the appraisers are looking for. And some of you guys may know this, but hopefully you pick up a tip. My daughter's finishing a point guard camp this week, and so we've been bouncing around and going over to her deal and back and forth. And kind of what I tell you guys, the same thing I told my daughter, dad mode here, is if you can pick up one or two things from our show, one or two things insight, it's going to be a better week. And that's why we always like to kind of give you something, one or two things from the show, keep us in front of you. And of course, anything we can do for you, we're here for you. So let's see if we can pick up one or two things. Hope you got some good insight on the show. It's fun stuff. I kind of review this. Of course, you live and breathe whatever you guys do. You're in the business, whether you're a contractor, a lawyer, CPA, nurse. You're in the business, right? And you do it all the time. So you take for granted all the stuff that you kind of know and do, and it's like second nature. But, so some of this stuff I may think is second nature because we do it all the time. But I wanted to write some of this stuff down, so I'm going to get right to it. We talk about bedrooms, very big. Is it a 2-bedroom? Is it a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom? And one of the biggest things in East Tennessee, is it public water or is it public sewer? Why, Ryan, you ask? Because some of our properties are unseptic. And if the property is permitted for a 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom, or some of our cabins, where they're 2-bedroom properties, and really it's a 4-bedroom, but the septic only permits for 2. We've got it listed as 2. And And so those things affect value. So looking at properties that bedrooms do affect value. So if you have a septic system, make sure you get with a great agent or reach out to your health department and get a copy of your septic permit. Because if you have a home that's a 3-bedroom, but it really should be a 5, and we have to advertise it as such, once we go into appraisal or sales, the bank's going to really look at that. Because a 5-bedroom home permitted versus a 3-bedroom home, there's going to be more value. Not always, but obviously 5-bedroom should get more money than a 3-bedroom. Again, determines a lot of other factors determine that. So keep that in mind. I had that on there. How many baths? Back in the day, 1 bath was sufficient, especially back in the 70s or 60s. Very common in a lot of the 50 homes, you see those 3-bedroom, 1 bath. That didn't last for long, so we had a half bath or a full bath. So checking properties today, how many baths, updates, always they're going to say, listen, and this, kitchens and baths are where you want to spend your money. So if you're doing a renovation, kitchens, baths, upgraded tile, new vanities. We just have a new one that's going to hit the market in Tellico Village. Didn't even mention that today. We'll get that next show. But the upgraded kitchen that I just had a chance to sit in and watch, we were talking back in February, and then the bath. Just an amazing job. All-tiled shower, walk-in, rain, head faucet over top. Just really first-class job. Well, that's where the money's at. And so you look at some of the sales that are out there where the kitchens have not been redone, they haven't put the money in it, there's a big adjustment for kitchens and baths. So if you're going to spend your money, those are great places to do that, okay? Land and acreage is big, okay? So if you're in a subdivision and you're on, let's say you're a Knox box, West Knoxville, 0.21 acres or 0.3 or something like that, all the lots are going to be similar, right? Some of those, if you're down a cliff, or maybe your driveway's straight up, right? You got one of those driveways that goes straight up, those can determine value. But if it's a normal driveway that's common in East Tennessee, shouldn't be a problem. Now, acreage is one of the biggest things. We've got a property coming in Loudon. It's in 7 acres. And I can't tell you how many people that we have relocating to our area. They're looking for acreage. I don't know if it's the whole COVID deal or whatever happened there, but a lot of people want space, privacy. They want places where if they can have some chickens or some animals with no restrictions, very, very popular. So when we look for acreage, we want to look for acreage and similar, especially if you got 5 acres, you want to look between 5 acres and 8 acres. Anything over, I'd say, depending on where it's at, 10 plus acreage, there's a different value that comes in. So a lot of times if you're looking at land sales, it was one of the most trickiest things that you can look at. So on acreage, if you're buying property that's just land, one of the difficult things is if you ever looked online, I know you guys have, you've seen those lot listings where it's just a picture of the street and you got some trees and then there's a picture of a street and maybe a no trespassing sign. You can't determine anything from that. All of our land and all of our properties that we do drone, but not everybody does that. So it makes it very, very difficult to determine your value. So with land sales, there's a lot that goes into it. Is the property perked? Is there multiple home sites? Are there restrictions? So but determine your land has a lot to do with it. And the type of land. Is it rolling? Is it cleared? Can the property be clear cut? Or the tree's been already clear cut? Things like that. So a lot coming in there. I won't spend a lot of time on your land, but if you have a home on it and you've got 5 acres, you want to find something similar with 3 or 4 acres plus, right? Anything over 10 acres may be a different ball game, okay? View. We talk about location. We got some of the most beautiful properties in East Tennessee. Some are up there in the Smokies. And you go up top and they just have these gorgeous mountain views. So when you pull comparables, you want to make sure that your other properties have the same kind of view. Now, I know, I can't tell you how many times, and we're all guilty of this, right? Every seller thinks that my view is superior to the neighbor or the next comparable. But what we're looking in a broad scheme is, does it have a good review? Does that view, restricted by trees? Is it seasonal view or is it year round? All these things come into play on those. What type of home is it? Stick-built, rancher, All those things come in. We talked about a basement, modular, all those things come in. Condition, is it painted? Is it new flooring? All those things come in. Does it need some love, some TLC, fixer-upper? Those come in. And those can be difficult to price if all the homes have been remodeled and updated. We've got one, like I said, that's coming in Loudon, but it needs some work. It has the acreage. So you've really got to take those adjustments of kind of what would be put into the property to bring it back and kind of back it down backwards, meaning, it's a 550 home, but we need about 150 into it. So where is the market going to respond? So keep that in mind. Upgrades, what you do to the home, are always big. Obviously, we won't get a lot of time into upgrades, but the more things you put into it is going to help in the resale. But not everything that you do is an automatic dollar-to-dollar cost. Just because we, added a deck on the back and some different things like that doesn't mean that we're going to get that return. So get with a great agent to kind of walk you through that. They determine comparables, which are big. They're going to go in your subdivision. They're going to try to keep in your subdivision. At least one comparable if you're in a subdivision. If you're rural, they're going to try to be within 2 to 3 miles, 5 miles max. Condo, they're going to try to be in the same development. Watch out if the market's changing. In Florida, we've got property. Market's changing. It's to somewhat of a declining market. Things are increasing. Kind of watch those. Are active listings even comparables? No, they're not. Don't consider them. What the neighbor's selling for down the street doesn't determine your value. Pending sales are something you really want to watch out for and kind of look for. And then, of course, watching the supply of homes on the market. As more homes come on the market, obviously those things could affect prices and a changing market. I hope you guys have really enjoyed this show. Talking about how do you determine your home's value. Hope you got some insights from today. Look forward to seeing you guys back next week. And if you need us, we're always here. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next weekend.